you need to get that feeling of, hey, I want to hit up on it. That's a good thing. You can see bottom left, my spin, 1845. I really hope I do that all the time. I would love that. What's going on, everybody? Scott Oden coming at you. We're here in the studio. We're going to talk about hitting your driver straighter. Many of you struggle with this, and it's a big problem in your game. It's going to cost you a lot of strokes right off the bat as you start the hole. That's something we do not want. So we want to get this corrected right away. Now, before we get started, one of the big things you got to think about with your club is, what are you using with your driver? So I'm interested to hear what you guys have in your bag. So comment down below, what is your current driver setup from the club head, the loft, and what shaft are you playing? Not just the flex, but the actual shaft, because that has a big influence on how you are going to hit that driver. So I'm very curious to hear what all of you out there are playing. When we get into hitting the driver straight, okay, it's not like there's anything that's going to be different from a standpoint of, hey, it's different from a 7-iron or any of my other clubs. However, the design of the golf club does make us have to change a couple of things as we go through to hit our driver. So one thing that we have to realize is, one, what is the keys to hitting a golf ball straight? Well, one, you have to manage where you are hitting the ball on the face. That is really, really critical. We have 9 points of contact essentially that we call for the face. That is going to be your high, middle, low, right down the middle, or your high, middle, low on the toe, high, middle, low on the heel. If you are making contact towards the heel side, that is rule one. Just know that that is really critical, that you will always slice the ball if you are hitting the ball on the heel. The only way you won't slice it is if you hit it so bad that that ball just ends up going, like, almost hitting you, or it goes straight inside off that club. That's the only time that that really won't happen, is because you're not even hitting the ball in the face pretty much as you go through. As far as swinging it goes, there's a couple of things we can do that will help not only your contact, but it'll help get things aligned so you can hit that driver a little bit straighter. So the first thing is going to be, and we always talk about this on the channel, we talk about it as club face. Club face is king in the golf swing. So when I am swinging the golf club, I need to understand where the face is located pretty much at all times in my golf swing. If I lose control, I am going to be in a lot of trouble. Now, we talk about this again. That is true for every golf club, but with the driver, it gets even more critical because, one, we're hitting the ball farther and faster. So when it gets off, it's going to travel farther offline. Now, the other reason is, I'm going to bring my lag shot. We're going to use this in a little bit, but we have a 7-iron head here. We have a driver head. Look at how much bigger this driver head is. This thing is massive compared to the iron head size. That means it's going to take more work to maneuver this club head. Just the mass size of it makes it more difficult to square up. So when we are swinging the golf club, when we are hitting driver, the number one thing that we have to work on when we are starting off is we need to understand, what does it take to have a square club face when we're swinging the golf club. So when we're doing this, what I like to do is have people check. We are actually going to check a couple of positions as we go through. The first is going to be what we call P2. Club gets back, it's parallel to the ground. All I'm looking for here is I want to see that club face still pointing somewhat down at the golf ball. If we get to a position where this face opens up, we are going to be in a world of hurt. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do it. My favorite is just working on turning a little bit better with the club. If you turn your body better, you keep some tilts with your body, I can keep that club face closed. I think that's the better, easier way. It's going to be better for you in the long run. Now, the other way some people will do it is they will actually take their lead wrist. So for me, that's my left wrist, and they just really flex it. They basically take their wrist and they just do one of these, okay? Now, if I do that, that will shut the face. Now, not my favorite way to do it. It can be done, but I think it really does bring in some other issues in the swing, because when you see that, one, it's going to be, the face actually might get excessively closed. The players that you see doing that on the PGA Tour, Victor Hovland, Dustin Johnson, they are notorious for just basically fading the ball all the time. So if you're a slicer and you're trying to get rid of it, we don't want to encourage things that are going to make you want, basically have to hit a left to right ball flight, because that face is getting too closed. I also don't like how it starts to work with our trail arm. It starts kind of locking out our shoulders, things like that. Those are some typical things that I see. Now, you don't have to do those things, right? You could make it work, but it's just something that I see. So my preferred way of getting the face to stay closed is by just working better on turning on the way back, as opposed to just rolling the club open where that face is pointed up at the sky. Now, when we go and check the second position, what we want to see is essentially the same thing at the same position, but it's on the return back to the ball. When I'm coming back to the ball, I want the club back in the same position, and I want to see that club face already starting to look down at the golf ball. So when we do that, this is where a lot of people will get confused, because there's a lot of talk out there saying, hey, I need to make sure that I have passive hands, something like that. Well, the problem with that is when we do that, and I'm going to use this lag shot. I know it's a 7-iron, but it gives a really good demonstration. If we're passive, what happens is the golf club, it actually loads and unloads. That's why this is a great training aid in general. But what happens is it unloads. But if you don't do anything, look at where my club face gets to. It gets really open. And so the only thing I can do is really try to bend sideways, and then I have to still crank my wrist. We're adding in a ton of movements that I think are very difficult to do for most people, and so that's not what I want to see. I want to see things that are easy. I also want to see things that are safe for people. I don't want to cause any injuries or anything like that. So I would much rather see, when people go to swing, they bring the club back, they need to feel like they have some pressure with their hands and their arms where they are twisting the club face to the ball. And remember, we talked about this with the driver. The club head is so much bigger that you need to start early. I need to be starting up here where I am getting this club face to square up. I have to start when the club is all the way up here. I already have to be starting to square as I'm coming down, because I have so much mass that I need to get squared up on this golf club. So with an iron, you don't have to do it as fast. That's going to be the key as you're going through. Now, I want to make sure that we get that face square so the rest of our swing can come into play. All right, so again, club face is always going to be king. That is true for all your clubs, but really you're going to notice it a lot with the driver if you're not getting that club face under control. Now, the second part is going to be, we have to get our club path dialed in. All right, that is a huge deal as we're going to hit the golf ball. Club path, club face, that relationship is going to be critical. If I'm going to hit a drive, I need to have a club path that is swinging to the outside of my club face. So let me say that again. I'm going to bring in a couple of sticks here just to illustrate. So let's assume this orange stick is my club face. And then just for this demonstration, I'm going to put it straight ahead. So when I have the club face pointed straight ahead, that ball is going to start straight ahead. Again, assuming we hit the ball in the middle of the face, it's going to start straight ahead. So what that means is if I want to stop slicing or hit a draw, I need to get that club path. I need to swing to the right. This club needs to physically swing out to the right of my club face. That is true no matter where the face is. So if I get out here, let's say I have the face way out there, that's an open club face to my target. But if I can swing more out to the right, as long as that club path is way out to the right, I would still draw that golf ball. That's the key thing that you want to realize. It's a relationship. That's why when we said at the start, I don't like to see people close the face too much, because then the face starts getting really closed. And yes, you're going to draw the ball. So again, if we go back to, what do we have here? Face with that much more shut face with the bowed wrist, the face is going to look more left. That ball is going to start left. Now we can swing out. It's easier to swing out and get the ball to curve to the left, but you are going to hit a shot that starts left, going left. That's not super functional. So that's why a lot of times the guys that have that bowed wrist, they actually work on swinging the opposite direction. They're swinging left to curve that ball back to the right. Okay, so we have to get that relationship correct. So how do we do that? Here's the best way that I like to do it, and this is how I get most of my people to get that club to swing out. You are going to get set up. What I like to do is put a alignment rod along the foot line. Doesn't have to be exactly on it. But what I want you to feel like is, again, you take that back, you start getting your body involved where you bring the club back. What you'll notice is this lead arm and your shoulders are really going to dictate where you're swinging, the path the club is on. So if I can go back and if I can feel that my lead arm is coming in and it's facing to the right of this stick, so I'm swinging from the inside of this stick. We're not going to chicken wing, that's just me demonstrating right now, but that is going to get that club path out. And then I work on releasing the club. I will see that golf ball draw. So I'm going to do a pretty exaggerated one here. Let's just see one here. So I'm going to go up, feel that arm staying out. And that one's pretty good. A little exaggerated, but got what I wanted out of the deal, which was that draw. You can see the shape that we took to make that golf ball go. So one thing that we need to realize is that face to path relationship is huge. My face to path there, the club was 4 to the left. So that means the face was 4 to the left of the path. My club face was 1.6 to the right of the target. So I was pointing slightly right, but my club path was 5.6 right. So I actually got that ball to come back. Okay, so we need to work on squaring up the face, and then as you practice, you'll learn how much to square up the face based on what is your club path as you are going, okay? So again, this is somebody that is coming from, you pretty much slice it, you are trying to get that ball to turn over, or we could work a little bit on trying to soften that up, maybe not feel my arm going as much. If I wanted to soften up the shot, let's hit another one as we go. So if I hit it, what I'll do is, as I'm working on it, I'll feel like that arm doesn't work as out. I'm going to feel like it works a little bit out, but then it's going to kind of round off, so it kind of rounds off to where it feels like it's a little more in line with that stick as we go. You can see that starts a little straighter, little bit of a draw, and that's going to be a little bit of the point there. I hit that a little on the toe, so it's still going to draw a little bit for me, but I did shrink that path a little bit, so you can see how we would do that as we're going through, okay? So that is club path, club face relationship. Now guys, before we get into our last part here and the most important part for why people slice their driver, just want to reach out. Make sure if you're not a subscriber, would really appreciate if you're enjoying what we do here on the channel. Again, we're more swing theory and trying to help you understand what's going on so then you can come up with fixes or know what to look for in a fix. That is what we're trying to do here. And if you enjoy that, make sure you click that subscribe button. We'd love to have you. And we'd like to get more subscribers watching on the channel. Most of you are not subscribers, so we'd love that you're here, but we'd love to see you more. So click that subscribe button, hit the like, and turn on the bell if you really like what we're doing. Now, the really big secret and the really big reason that you are not able to hit your driver straight, maybe you hit your iron straight, but your driver is slicing on you as you go. And the reason for that is your driver and your iron swing are not the same. Okay, so let me explain what that means here. It's not as different as you think, but there are some critical things that we need to know about a golf swing that let us see why the golf ball goes where it goes. So when we are hitting an iron, when I'm hitting an iron, when I'm going to hit down on the ball, that's the golf ball is on the ground. And what happens is I need to go down and get that golf ball. Now, when I do that, the way the golf swing works, the golf swing is essentially a circle around my body, and the club is built on an angle, and so we swing the club on that angle, okay, and we're bent over on an angle. So what happens is that angle dictates how we're going to hit down or up into the golf ball. But if we're hitting down, if you watch me here, as I'm going down to the ball, I'm on my downward side of my swing arc, you'll notice that club is traveling more out. So when we hit golf shots where we are hitting down at the golf ball, you are automatically going to be swinging more into out. Or if you want to hit a draw, that's what you need. You got to swing out away from you. So when people are hitting their irons or hitting their wedges, they always say, I can hit them straighter. Well, that's because your swing is probably still a little bit over the top, and I would work on your entire swing, but you're hitting down on it, so it kind of hides that a little bit. It masks everything a little bit. With the driver, when we're hitting the driver, I have that same arc. Now, my golf club is a little bit flatter angle, but I have that same arc. But with the driver, I'm going to be hitting it while I'm swinging up. We want to hit the ball on the upswing. That's because it's on a tee. We're trying to launch it higher, get some spin off of the golf ball. All good things. But what that does, the trade-off, is when I'm going up, my club is going to be swinging more to, for me as a righty, to the left or outside in. So I need to make compensations for that to be able to hit my driver somewhat straight or turn it over and get it to draw. What the compensation is I essentially need to take my club path and I need to get it more out to the right. So our last ball we hit was a great example. So up on the screen, I have a number. It's down on the bottom right. It says horizontal swing plane. It's 7.9 to the right. Okay, so what is horizontal swing plane? Horizontal swing plane, just think of it as if the angle of attack was 0. At the point where the angle of attack is 0, or essentially the lowest point of your swing, where are you swinging in relation to the target? I like to think about it as if I was swinging level, just like this, which way am I kind of angling that club? So I'm angling this thing way off to the right. I'm getting this thing swinging way out. But you'll notice my angle of attack, 5.4 up. So my club path, the actual club path, which is what we use to determine the ball flight, is only 3.5 to the right. So I'm swinging way out. And I'm not getting, it's less than half, right? My club path is less than half than that horizontal plane. So to work on getting that driver to stop slicing, I really need to exaggerate the feel of swinging out. And again, I think that's maybe a little excessive. I wouldn't want that much, but when I'm practicing, I like to see that ball draw. So I like to make sure I draw it, but you need to get that feeling of, hey, I want to hit up on it. That's a good thing. You can see bottom left, my spin, 1845. I really hope I do that all the time. I would love that. But I need to get that club path to the right, which means I got to swing way right because I'm hitting up on that golf ball, okay? So you can do a couple of things. You know, some people say, well, hey, why don't I just move the ball back? That's automatically going to make me catch it a little earlier, and that's going to send that club path out to the right. Well, you can do that, but you're going to risk contact. You're going to hit more down on your driver. It's more likely you're going to go underneath it and pop it up. If you ever hit those pop-ups that go straight up or really high, that's because you are hitting down and going underneath it. You're hitting the top of the club and it sends it up. you're gonna have harder time squaring the face, you're gonna have a harder time making good contact, both things that I'm not willing to sacrifice, and you're also gonna get a lot more backspin, so your distance is going to suffer. So I like to get that ball up front. I try to keep it in line with my lead shoulder, and what I wanna do is just work on getting that shoulder and my lead arm really swinging out, because I'm gonna hit up on this, and that's what it takes to get rid of that slice. Little closed face there, but you get the gist of it. Club path way out there to the right, okay? Way out. My horizontal plane, 14 to the right. Biggest thing is, when you're doing this, exaggerate it. If you are a slicer, hit some hooks. Hit some hooks. I can always soften it up a little bit. It's always easier to take it back than it is to get there in the first place. So get your club swinging out. If I don't like how much that ball is hooking, I'm just going to, all right, let's just soften it up a little bit. And there we go. That one's really, really good. Obviously right down the line, face to target 1.9 right, 2.3 right club path. I kind of hit everything that I would like. That would be a really good drive for me. Spin was 1700, love that. Angle of attack 5 up, and my face to path was left. Horizontal plane 7 out to the right. That's what we're looking for. So again, it's when you start understanding how you hit up on the ball, you need to get your numbers moving in a way that are going to allow you to still hit up on it, but not slice that golf ball, okay? So that is typically what we see. Now for a little bit of a reference, what I wanna do is I'm gonna hit a 7-iron here, okay? So I'm gonna feel like I make a swing. I'm gonna try my best. I'm not a robot, but I'm gonna try to feel like I swing where I don't keep this arm out to the right. I'm actually gonna let this arm kind of turn a little more as we go through. Okay, and you'll see, pretty good golf shot. Club path, that's the big thing. You can see it makes a fade if I don't let that arm stay out, but not a bad strike. You can see I hit down on it slightly. Probably would like to hit down on it a little bit more, but that club path, 0.8 to the left. You'll also notice the horizontal plane. See how much it was more to the left, but because I hit down, the club path was to the right of that. That's a big deal. So if I make the same feeling swing, okay, feeling this arm, kind of work around as we go. Ball's more forward. Okay, look at what happens to the club path. Now again, I didn't nail it, but you can see the discrepancy between horizontal plane and club path got to be a lot more. So that's the biggest reason why you're still going to hit that slice. So really, really important to understand, really going to help you understand how to drive it better. And like I said, the biggest thing is work on some of those big shapes first. If you're a slicer, hit some hooks. You can always bring it back down a little bit. You're just taking what we're doing and just exaggerating it. It's just, then you would just bring it off and say, all right, I'm not going to go as far into out with everything. That would be the biggest thing. But understanding how your angle of attack affects what goes on with the club is really, really critical. And that is the missing piece that a lot of people don't have when they are working on that driver. So keep that in mind as you are going through, okay? All right, guys, so if you like this video, make sure you check out, I have a video on how horizontal swing plane works, how club path works. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. If you need more on how to correct your path in your horizontal swing plane, make sure you check that video out. I'm gonna link it in a card up here. If it's not up there, it'll be down in the description below. Make sure you check that out because that's gonna be a big time help as you go through and work on getting your driver more consistent. So if you have any questions, leave a comment down below and click that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber already. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.